when you look at the earnings forecast, things get a little bit hazy. They said that this company won't be making money in 2022, and that's not my words. This is from the article, and I don't necessarily agree or disagree with the article, but this is just giving me a basis for me to actually look out into the distances. I don't know much about the business dealings of this company, and I'm so surprised by how much cash and all the other things that any real investor should know or should actually research. So, I said, for example, in quarter two, Duolingo did a good job making money. Apparently, despite net income loss of, oh man, $176,000 in quarter two, Duolingo had an adjusted EBITDA, that's earnings before interest, taxes, and depreciated amortization. That's a hard one. It was a positive $3.7 million, and um, that's not bad as long as they're making positive money after you subtract all of the things that businesses have to pay for in cash and businesses need to keep running. So, and say, what is the stock worth? So they go into this whole thing, and I'm not going to bore you with the details. They go into the price per share, the earnings per share, quarter over quarter growth, and basically what they're saying is this type of growth and this type of momentum is not sustainable for a stock like Duolingo because it's more of like a trendy hit or miss type of business, and that's what they're getting at. If you want to read that article, that was on Investor Place, and that is Duolingo is riding a wave of language learning, but DULO stock is too high. So that was that gentleman's opinion. And I looked at another article from September 1st and said, I'm not buying Duolingo stock. And this was one of my favorite reads because this guy is extremely pessimist. And this one comes out of Motley Fool. And Motley Fool does some really intense research, and they actually put out some decent articles. And my only criticism of the Motley Fool platform is that um, their business model or the way they run their business, um, they give opposing viewpoints very often, sometimes back to back. So you may have one article why I'm not investing in Duolingo, and you have another article why I am investing in Duolingo. So this Investopedia, and I'm sorry, Motley Fool is more of a platform that highlights the investor's opinion, and the actual outlet doesn't really have any concrete position themselves. So, in this particular article, this gentleman, Johnny Quest, wow, he goes into a whole reason why he's not investing in Duolingo, and it starts off with him talking about Duolingo subscribership, and they say that Duolingo brags about having 500 million plus downloads. But when you look at that figure and you start digging into it, Duolingo only has 40 million active users. So it's a good stat to say that 500 million people have downloaded your app. That means you're very popular. But if only 4 million of that 500 million people are actively using your app, you have a leak in your ship, and you're about to sink. You're leaking money. You're leaking subscribers. It's something you're doing wrong, or something that you're missing, and that's 90% of your user base is not actively using your product. Now, I don't fault Duolingo for that. And in this article, the author John Quest, if you ever seen Cartoon Network, Johnny Quest show, the old school cartoon, you know why I'm laughing. But he goes on to say that companies like Babbel and Rosetta Stone, they purge a whole lot of users, or they lose a whole bunch of subscribers who get tired of learning a language, or get burnt out and don't finish, or don't end up subscribing. So you're losing those active daily users, and In this case, Duolingo is down 90%. So that's a little bit troubling, especially if you're riding high on this wave of all of these new pandemic subscribers, and the pandemic possibly might end. um, or we may just go into another one. But that's very, very troubling. And he calls it customer churn. Potentially 500 million plus people have already given it a try, but over 450 million people aren't using it now. Perhaps all 450 million people are satisfied with Duolingo's product and are grateful. Maybe all of them learned a new language, but more than likely, most of these people have quit. So that was kind of a block quote mixed in with my opinion. But you were starting to see a pattern where the things that I said that I was worried about, you're starting to see these professionals, or at least these authors and writers, um, make the same points and really just admit that they're a little bit worried about just how sustainable is this performance that they are, this wave that they're riding on. And another key stat in this Motley Fool article is in 2020, Duolingo spent 22% of its revenue on sales and marketing. In the most recent quarter, they scaled back to just 16%. So they cut back on their marketing. So that would kind of boost your retained earnings or your profits, because you're not spending a lot of money, and you have more cash in hand. So I think that that's a good thing on Duolingo. But the question is, was this marketing driving new subscribers, or was this marketing, did they just cut back marketing because they realized, like, this is wasted money? We could save about $4 million, $5 million if we just stop doing this, and it won't really affect our subscriber growth or user base very much. So that is yet to be seen, but it's just really alarming that this company was spending 22% of its revenue on advertising, and they cut back to 16. So we'll see how that works out for them. And really, things could get better. The company spent 37% of its revenue on R&D, and it has spent roughly 44.5 million on R&D this year. So that's a year and the most recent quarter compared, 37% for the quarter, 44.5 million for the year on research and development. And basically, this author's John Quest's consensus is that Duolingo has said that they're interested in becoming more than a language learning platform. So in the future, maybe Duolingo will offer other educational content. Maybe they may, I mean, you're sitting on 500 million, I think. I forgot that number that I quoted earlier. But they're sitting on a whole bunch of cash. So maybe they'll use some of that money to create another offering, another app, to buy a company or something like that. And with a company like Duolingo, I just really assume that they have a low overhead, and that they are hoarding this cash for a reason, because nobody keeps 500 million or 500,000 million or 500 billion sitting around for nothing without any plans for it.